great to see you. It's terrible, it's a real Irish question, but what's the weather like up there in Donegal?
I think probably 13 or 14 degrees centigrade.
13, 14 degrees. And have you sunshine, or is it muggy and grey like it is in Dublin and Cork and Kerry?
Yeah, I think here in most part of the Donegal is very cold.
Very cold.
January,
okay, very good. Okay, well, great. So Avinash, you're going to be talking today about the importance of data visualization in healthcare.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I came across you because a colleague of ours, a great guy, Christian Matte, who works in Tableau, he sent on your profile. And I went into Tableau Public and I said, oh yeah, okay, we'll see what it's like. And I was absolutely amazed by what I saw. So absolutely no pressure on you, but I'm hoping that you're going to wow the audience that we have today. And without further ado, I'm going to let you take it away, Avinash. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Johnny. So, Johnny, could you please confirm if you can see my screen?
I can, Avinash.
Okay, thanks.
It looks good, yeah.
So, myself, Avinash, Johnny already introduced about me. So, today I'm going to speak about why data visualization is important in healthcare. So, here is the agenda for the session. So, I'm going to cover just introduction a little bit about me, and I'm going to cover or tell use of data visualization in healthcare. And also I'm going to show you some of the examples for the dashboard that I created earlier. So later I'm going to tell you the steps that I should follow while creating or when creating a dashboard, or it could be a real time or a normal Tableau public dashboard. So I will follow the steps. So most part of my time in the presentation I'm going to spend regarding the end-to-end approach that I followed while creating COVID-19 Wiz for India, and how India went through different phases of the lockdown. So I'm going to tell a story about that. So final thing, I'm going to take up some of the question and answers. Maybe if something I can't answer due to time constraint, maybe you can reach out to me, either LinkedIn or direct email or Twitter handle. So I'm happy to respond. So myself, Avinash, and I'm a data visualization specialist working with Pramerica Systems. It's in Donegal County, and which is a part of a Prudential Financial company. So I have around 10 years of experience in business intelligence and data management, and 5 years of experience in Tableau. So I really love Tableau to work within my day-to-day life, and I will spend a lot of time to create some of the dashboards based on publicly available data, and I can publish a lot of stuff into Tableau Public. So most part of my experience that I worked in healthcare and financial industries. So today I just choose the healthcare as a topic, and I'm going to share my experience. It's not a real data, but I can share some funny stuff with fruits, so which obviously related to health. So, and I received 2 Viz of the Day awards from Tableau so far. I'm going to show you just a screenshot of those in next slide. And I'm a visual evangelist. I really love Tableau to work with. I already mentioned that one earlier. And most part of my Tableau public work includes Makeover Monday, Sports Wiz Sunday, Project Health Wiz. I really like, or I would encourage all of you guys to take a part of it. So this is really good opportunity to enhance your data visualization skills. And I will publish all of my visits to my Tableau public profile. If anybody is interested, you can just take a look and provide your feedback. So these 2 are the Viz of the Day awards, or these 2 are the Vizes selected for Viz of the Day for Tableau. And without further ado, so I'm going to jump right away into the topic, how data visualization helps in healthcare. So the efficient, meaningful data analysis is some of today's most important thing in medical studies. So the data visualization or the data analysis is really matter in healthcare. Even if you can you might come across through a lot of COVID-19 visualization. So each and every country is maintaining their own data visualization. So either it could be a Tableau or some other data visualization tool, but still they're using data visualization to identify the spots of mostly affected areas in their own country. And also they're announcing some of the zones like a red zone, orange zone, or green zone, so which would be really helpful for the people who are from the country and they can stay away to travel to red zone areas. So the data visualization is really worth to visualize that kind of geospatial or the data which is related to that particular country. And it's also essential for physicians, nurses, and other health professionals during the day-to-day practice as they interact with health interfaces and databases to generate the reports and also review patients' information and trends. So the day-to-day work of the healthcare professionals, they can interact with large volumes of data sets related to their hospitals or providers or clinical. So maybe they can pull up the information for one or two persons very easily. But if I can ask something like pull out the patient's information who visited the hospital twice or thrice in a day, or maybe so on and so forth, so then it would be really difficult to take out the insights or data anomalies based on the questions that I can ask. So again, I can say a mountain of the data is little used without any data visualization. So I'm going to take one example, this iceberg. Let's consider this as a database. I can see only 20% of the iceberg, but remaining 80% of the iceberg is down in the water. But I would like to utilize this complete iceberg as a database to apply some analytics on top of it. And I can identify, or I would like to identify insights out of it. So this is where the data visualization comes into the picture. So I can use some data visualization tool to connect to these kind of databases, and I can spot out or identify the data anomalies or insights out of it. So Tableau is one of such powerful data visualization tool in current market where you can utilize with n number of data sources to connect and reveal the insights out of it. Again, the data visualization brings the most important takeaways in health industry into focus. So also help us to identify patterns, correlations, and makes data analysis more efficient. So going to next slide, I'm going to show you a couple of dashboards which are related to COVID-19, and as well as I'm going to cover 3 different scenarios which are related to health. So this is the first dashboard. I'm going to speak about little about this one. So this is the dashboard that I designed for COVID-19 stats of USA. So this is not a up-to-date dashboard, I can say. So I developed this dashboard a while ago, maybe in April. So to identify, sorry, it's not going to the full screen. Maybe I can just refresh this one. There you go. Okay. So this is the dashboard that I developed to identify the spots or mostly affected areas within the US. So this is again based on the state-wise data. So when I see this dashboard, so my eyes will immediately look at the bigger bubble. So when I see this bubble, then immediately my attention turns. So when I do the hover over, I can get to know what is the state which was affected more with COVID-19 cases. And again, if you can just do the hover over on the left side pane, it is going to give you the total confirmed cases, recovered, disease, so on and so forth. So in similar way, you can just hover over on any of the states that you belongs to, or maybe that you are interested in. So it's going to update the left panel, and you can see a different kind of information related to that particular state. Again, I mentioned this is not a up-to-date dashboard, so I just created on long ago, but just like to show you as an example. So I'm moving to the next dashboard. That's a Teledoc health performance dashboard. So this is one of the dashboard that I created for Project HealthWiz challenge for May. So this dashboard is related to stock performance of a teledoc health company. Again, the visualization is not only always meant for maybe if it could be related to healthcare, it's not clinical data or medical data or patient's information. So we could also use the data visualization or Tableau so to tell a stock performance of any healthcare company. So the data captured in this dashboard is from June 2015 to April 2020. So if you can observe, so the 2020, the stock performance of this particular company is performing really well. So you can see a big spike here. And also I covered something on the left panel to see what is the average open of the stock within 5 years. So average low, average high, and what is the volume of the stock associated with it. And here you can see the year-over-year growth, how it is happening from 2015 to 2020. And again, I had provided some of the flexibility to the end users to select their own lower band or upper band. So they can simply enter the values here. So if they are just interested to see the stock performance of this company, maybe from $20 to $100 or $20 to $50. So you can just enter the or input the values, and it is going to highlight the areas which falls in between this range. And again, this is a 5-year trend line, but if you just wanted to see the stock performance of any particular year, because if you can see the stock has been increased more when I compared with previous year. Here you can see 92% and 97%. Maybe I can simply click on 2017 year, so you can still see the stock performance on year by year. So you can tell some kind of a story or insights like how the stock performance is happening, or what is the best time to invest in the future based on the current values. And I'm moving to the third one. So this is the outpatient treatments in America. So this dashboard I created on long ago, maybe 3 years ago, when I started learning with the Hexbin map of US. So this is about the outpatient treatments in America, and it's going to cover 9 distinct outpatient treatments. So here you can see 9 different icons here: nervous system related, eye related, and gastro related. So you can simply click on any of the particular icon, and it's going to update the dashboard with relevant data for nervous systems. And you can see the top section, how many providers supported 2,393K treatments. And you can see what is the state which was dealt with most of the cases. So in this case, you can see Illinois is a top state which dealt or handled more treatments related to nervous system. So in similar way, you can click on any of the particular icon, and it's going to update the dashboard. And you can see what is the state or the top state which was handled most of the outpatient treatment related to cardio. And the fourth dashboard regarding fruits, and of course we can consume a lot of fruits in our day-to-day life, but I'm sure 90% of the people are not aware that what kind of nutrition value they can get out of it. Maybe I can consume an apple or avocado daily, but I'm not really know that what kind of nutrition value that I can get out of it. So this is something fun which I made on long ago just to help the Tableau community, or maybe the people who love fruits, so they can just so I know there are many more fruits, but I just covered these are all the popular. So you can just hover over on apple for an example, so you can see what are all the benefits that you can get out of it. And also you can see the nutrition value of apple. Again, it depends on the size, but I didn't consider the size. Maybe you could treat it as a medium size or large size of apple. So you can see apple. So if I consume apple, I don't get any fat in terms, so from apple. But if I just do hover over on avocado, so you can see 10 grams of fat that you can get from avocado. But I really love avocados, but still I can get some fat out of it. So in similar way, you can just hover over on the fruit, whatever you like or whatever you consume daily. So you can just get to know what are all the benefits that you can get out of it, and also nutrition value of that fruit. So that's it about the examples. So, and I'm moving to the next slide. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time today while explaining the end-to-end approach of the dashboard that I created for India regarding COVID-19 cases. So this dashboard is mainly aimed for the lockdown phases, how the India went through different lockdown phases, and the government of India is giving some of the reliefs while they're announcing the lockdown phases. So that leads to a lot of cases. So I'm just going to tell the story like how the cases has been gone through different phases and why it is increasing. So again, this dash data is a publicly available data I downloaded from Indian website. So they are providing some API. I'm going to show the link in the next slide. So I considered or analyzed this data based on the states by considering confirmed cases, active cases, recovered cases, and deceased cases. So before I'm going to explain about the dashboard functionality, so as I mentioned earlier, while I'm creating the dashboard, I should follow 4 main steps. So which I feel most important for any dashboard creation. The first part or first step of these steps is the data. So identifying the right data for any of the dashboard is the primary thing I can say. So without right data, you can't tell a right story to your end users. So for this dashboard, I downloaded the data from one of the Indian website, a government website. And after I downloaded the data, so I applied some data cleansing techniques. So even in real time, or maybe if I'm creating some of the public dashboards, so sometimes whatever the data that I downloaded, I can't use right away, or I can't connect right away with the Tableau and start making the visualizations. So most part of the visualizations, I will apply some kind of data cleansing techniques, and I can restructure the data as per my need. So this is the primary step which we need to follow, or if it requires, you need to perform some data cleansing activities. And I use the concept of pivot, which is very beautiful feature in Tableau, and I'm going to show you how you can apply that pivot concept when you connect with Excel or CSV data. So the next important phase or step is analysis or analyzing your data. So within analysis, you need to analyze the data and you need to identify the important metrics, what you wanted to consider for your dashboard. Maybe let's say if I have 100 columns in my data set, I may not use 100 columns for my analysis, right? So I need to consider the important metrics or identify the important metrics which I feel important for my analysis. So once you identified your data and you analyze your data, later you need to build a story that you wanted to tell or convey to your end users. So once you are good with these 2 steps, the third step is the create. So in this step, what you need to do is, so whatever the story that you build in the analysis phase, you need to make that story into visual form. So while making that story into visual form, you need to choose the right chart types. And again, so choosing the right chart type is most important in visualization. So, and you need to keep your story into visual form. And finally, you can add some colors to it to make it more beautiful. So once you are done with these 3 steps, the final step is to publish the dashboard. So you could either publish the dashboard to your own Tableau server, or you can, if it's a public data, you can always push it to Tableau public profile and make it available for the end users. So with that, I'm moving forward, and I'm going to tell you the data cleansing steps that I applied while creating this COVID-19 dashboard for India. So initially, I downloaded the data from this particular link, and this is a kind of API. So when you just copy paste this link, and it's going to download the data automatically into CSV file. So after I downloaded the data, I applied or removed some unwanted fields or columns which I don't want to use for my analysis. So this is the data set that I downloaded, but I don't want to use this column, which would give the total number of cases. So I'm going to delete this column, and I can save this data. And after I save the data and I connected that data to my Tableau. So again, after I removed all of the unwanted columns, I can't use the data as it is. So I applied a pivot concept in Tableau and restructured the data as per my need. So if you can observe this data set, you can see all of the states are in individual columns. But I don't want to use this data set, but since I created something different in my mind, so I would like to restructure this data set, and I wanted to take all of these states into row wise. So for that, I can do manually, but if I can do manually for one state, we have close to 90 days of data. And again, we have 3 different statuses. So if I wanted to do manually, it would take close to 2 to 3 hours of time, because there are 30 different states or union territories. And again, each state contains 90 days of the data. And also we have 3 different statuses for each state. So what I did is, so I connected the data to Tableau, and I selected all of the columns that I wanted to pivot. So I just excluded these 2 columns, which I don't want to include in the pivot. So once I selected all of the states, I just simply right click on the state and I click on the pivot. So Tableau is going to do this pivot in fraction of seconds. So once you just restructured the data, and you can just change the column names, like this one I can call it as a state, and this one I can call it as a cases. And again, if you want, you can convert the data type of this as a geographical data type. So I restructured the data in this way, and I created a lot of formulas on top of this data, and created this visualization. So if you can see, I just have only four columns here that are coming from the data set, but I created a lot of calculations based on those 4 columns and produce this vis. So before I'm going to the dashboard, and I would like to explain a couple of functionalities about the dashboard. So I divided the dashboard into 2 sections. The first section, I was thinking to show the daily and cumulative trend, and also the number and how the confirmed, recovered, and disease cases has changed from previous day to current day, and what is the conversion rate associated with those numbers. And in second section, I would like to show the state-wise confirmed cases in different phases of the lockdown. And I applied some color scheme on top of it based on the confirmed cases. And I also would like to give some kind of a sorting functionality to the end users. And I had given a flexibility to click on any particular state and how it came through different phases of the lockdown by number of confirmed cases. So I'm going back to the dashboard, which I created here, and I can explain those 2 sections or the functionality of the dashboard that I discussed just before. So this dashboard is again, so I developed this dashboard maybe 1 week ago, I can say. So I had written some formulas based on today's date, since so that's the reason here we are missing something. So this thing would give number of confirmed cases on today comparing with previous day. But apart from that, so I created 2 line graphs here. So I can show the daily trend or cumulative trend, which is the running total. So you can just flip between these 2. And you can see the total confirmed, active, and recovered cases. So if you can see the recovered cases percentage, so it is 50.73 at 10th of June, so which is really good for India. The people are recovering very fastly. I can say the more people are recovering with COVID-19. And coming down, so here I have broken down this graph based on the states, and you can see the mostly affected states are Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Delhi, and Gujarat. And how I can say that is, so I just sorted out these states based on the confirmed cases. And again, you can see I applied a color scheme based on the number of confirmed cases. So if you can see the Maharashtra from almost from April 25th, so each and every day the Maharashtra is reported or was reported with 500 and plus cases. So even with the same thing with the Tamil Nadu, so from May 5th, sorry, from May 4th, so it's keep on reporting 500 plus cases per day. So you can easily understand the confirmed cases information based on the color scheme, and even you can choose whatever the color that you want, or choose the bucket of the color that you want, like a 200 to 300 cases bucket. So you can easily see the different states and different days of relevant to those states, and how these confirmed cases are going through different dates. And again, you can see the different phases of the lockdown here. So I just divided with the reference with the use of reference lines in Tableau. I really like the reference lines, so I can utilize the reference lines for multiple purposes, but this is one of the example. I can say I utilize the reference lines. So you can see, so the phase one reported with very less number of cases, but you can see so after phase one, the Indian government is giving some relief to the lockdown guidelines, and so that leads to spike up the number of confirmed cases in different phases. And also I can click on any of the particular state, and you can see it's going to update the dashboard. And you can see the recovered cases on 29th of May. So from Maharashtra, there are a lot of recovered cases in that particular day. And again, you can see a dip in active cases as well. So in similar way, I can click or choose wherever I belongs to, then it's going to update the dashboard. And in similar way, it is going to update the cases, how it went through different phases of the lockdown. And you can easily identify which lockdown was the worst for that particular state or for the entire country. And again, I have some sort by functionality here. So I can choose or highlight the states based on the confirmed cases. It's going to sort the states in descending order. So maybe I can choose the active cases. See, you can see based on number of cases, the Tamil Nadu is in second position, but based on active cases, the Delhi went up to second position. So in similar way, I can choose the states. So just to flip between the values within the parameter, and you can observe how it's going to change the values in the dashboard. So with that, I'm open up for the questions.
Yeah, guys, if anybody has any questions, please go down into the Q&A button here and type them in. I think, to be honest with you, the reason for the silence is probably because we're all sort of stupefied by that last data visualization. It was just, it's just quite an amazing piece of work. Absolutely fantastic. I'm not too sure that the hipsters will be very happy about the reference to the avocados being fattening, though, Avinash. So you might want to rethink that one. But I mean, facts are facts, data is data, as they say.
Yeah.
But look, absolutely fantastic visualization and absolutely fantastic work. I mean, can I ask you, the between gathering the data, cleaning it, and building that last visualization, how long did that take you?
I think I worked close to 10 hours, splitting in 2 days.
Yeah.
So day, I spend most of the time on identifying the data, and also uh, in actually I found a lot of data sets related to COVID-19, but I just wanted to tell a right story through different phases of the lockdown, and
Yeah.
again based on the number of cases broken down into states. So yeah, it took 2 days for me, maybe 5 hours a day,
Yeah.
so to work on the data sets and to come up with some story that I wanted to tell to the audience.
Yeah, but it's such a huge amount of data that it's going to take that time. I've got a question here from Marcus, and he actually has a question about that visualization and the phases. I have to say I like the way myself that you use the reference lines there. But
Yeah.
he's asking here, is the visualization saying that the number of cases is going up post the lockdown? So like, how is it being read? Is it read from left to right or right to left, I guess, or how is it been done?
So this one, the color scheme is based on the number of cases reported on that particular day. So if you can just hover over on these square boxes, you can see the day is changing.
Yeah.
And so the first lockdown is a strict lockdown in India, and later the government is giving some relief to the lockdown phases, which leads to more cases, I can say.
And so are these, when you those numbers up at the top, those are the 21 days, the 19 days, are they the duration of
The
the
duration of the
days?
lockdown. Yeah.
Ah, okay, that makes sense now. Okay, brilliant. Okay, well, those states in orange are frightening enough, to be honest with you. Dara Canavan from Galway also has a question. Marcus says, excellent, thanks for the question, by the way. Dara Canavan also has a question. Curious to know if Avinash uses other tools to cleanse the data before feeding it into Tableau. So what do you use there?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So for this, I utilize the functionality of the Tableau. So I didn't use any of the third party, or I can say out of Tableau, because Tableau is providing pivot concept, which I would like to utilize for this analysis. But apart from that, in my day-to-day work, we will utilize, or we can use a lot of ETL tools for data processing, like Informatica or maybe Tableau Prep, like that.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. Oh, great question here from Anil. And it's very prevalent question. The healthcare industry has a lot of restrictions on using data.
Yeah.
What challenges have you faced while visualizing in this area?
So this is more specific to COVID-19 cases. Again, it's even based on the number of states or reported with more cases. So yeah, so definitely there are a lot of challenges so to face these kind of pandemic situations. And again, so it would be good if we can spot out the mostly affected areas and mostly affected states, and if somebody is not aware that in this particular area, so the cases are coming very rapidly, so then people will try to avoid while traveling to those areas. So
actually, another question that I have, which is a bit
sure.
different from this, but what's the communication been like in terms of getting the message to people in India from the government and from healthcare workers? What's the messaging been like? Are you aware? Because it looks like you're keeping in touch with the situation there.
Yeah, actually, in India recently, a lot of the migrant workers are moving here and there to different states, or they're just moving back to their own states. So so since they stuck in the different places where they worked or where they went to work, so since they're moving here and there, so the government had given some of the reliefs to the lockdown, so that leads to more cases. Even I can't say that's only the reason, but definitely that could be one of the reasons.
That's a factor, all right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Look, I really enjoyed that, I have to say, and it's pretty amazing what you do. to be honest. So absolutely well done. I hope you enjoyed presenting it as well. So if nobody has any further questions, we will move on. Just to say, just to reiterate, and Avinash, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Just to say to everybody that if you are looking into this and you're somewhere around the world, we would love to get a photograph of you looking at the webinar. It'd be fantastic from wherever you are. So take a photograph of the screen, whatever, of your house, of you in a selfie or something like that, and send it on. I've posted my email address, johnny.butler@theinformationlab.ie, and you can send on your pictures there as well. As I mentioned earlier on as well, and you'll have to excuse me for my own plug, but I got to do it anyway. We do a lot of Tableau tips and blogs and various different things like that on our LinkedIn page. And if you want to follow us on LinkedIn, I've just sent you the link there as well. It'd be great to have you on board. All right, absolutely fantastic. Avinash, thanks again. We're going to move over to the guys in Bank of Ireland, if that's okay. We will see you after the chat. We'll stick around if there's any more questions, because I'm sure there will be. Okay.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Okay. So, guys, how are you fixed? Carl and George, are you ready to go?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me there, Johnny? Yeah, good.
I can hear you loud and clear, Carl.
Cool.
I just want to make sure, can everybody, Dan might let me know about this, or Katie, can you see the screen there that Carl is sharing?
Yep, you can indeed.
Coming through, yeah. That's great stuff. All right, Carl and George work together as part of the advanced analytics team in Bank of Ireland, and as they say themselves, and as we know, because Carl always comes along to the Tableau user groups in Dublin, they're trying to drive innovation through data, and they're going to be talking to you about a few things. One of the things they'll talk to you about is EngineB, which is kind of an in-house data innovation hub, from what I can gather, and they're just trying to spread the word on making better decisions, I guess, with using data and data visualization. But I'm going to hand it over to them and let them tell you all about it. So guys, take it away, and thank you very much. Again, if anybody has any questions, put it into the Q&A box and we'll get to it at the end. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going on mute. You'll be glad to hear.
Thanks, Johnny, and hello everyone. Thanks a million for dropping by the webinar today. My name is Carl Kane. I'm presenting with George Beirne today on EngineB, which is kind of an innovation stream that we run as part of our advanced analytics area in the bank. I suppose by means of kind of building a picture of who I am and maybe who George is, myself and Johnny and the team before had a chat before we come on the call a little earlier, and I suppose I was trying to articulate the type of person I am versus maybe the type of persona that George might be, and the first thing that kind of sprang to mind was I suppose Space Force, and we had a bit of a laugh about this before the call, and as we've been going through the slides, I was actually kind of thinking it's not a laughing matter for me. I am so way out of depth here. It's actually hilarious. I don't know if anyone's seen Space Force. Steve Carell plays General Mark Neard, and John Malkovich plays Dr. Adrian Mallory. Now already Steve Carell probably has won a couple of small comedic awards. John Malkovich has won Oscars, so there's a massive gap in expertise in their fields already. So I suppose Steve Carell, in his usual Steve Carell way, plays the gruff but bumbling kind of army general that has very, very little substance and a big mouth. He's like completely contrasted by the brilliant Dr. Adrian Mallory, who's played by John Malkovich, who essentially oozes knowledge, talent and wisdom. So I suppose, to cut a long story short, George is pretty much my Dr. Adrian Mallory. I'd like to say it's probably a compliment for me compared to General Mark Naird, when the reality is I'm more like your Michael Scott, which is another Steve Carell character from The Office. So that's kind of that probably epitomizes our relationship to date. So I'm going to move on to the first slide, which George has on the screen there. So data value realization at Bank of Ireland has essentially supported the business through using data to better meet the needs of our customers and enabling internal efficiencies. The interesting piece here is you might have seen, I suppose, in recent weeks, you've probably seen a few bits and pieces around the media of numbers around spend trends and spend categorization. So that's just a snippet of something that was out a couple of weeks ago. There's going to be more stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Here I suppose we used our transaction categorization engine to understand patterns in spend before and during C19, and it's going to be very interesting to see post C19 how it's going to work out. We're still tracking all the data today. We know that, I suppose everyone knows that there's been a decrease in ATM activity, cash activity, and I suppose recent reports in the media are saying there's now an increase back on that kind of stuff. So we're currently looking at all that stuff. That's just a fraction of what we do today in the bank. And I suppose just moving on to the next slide there, in terms of what our team does, and I am very conscious of time, I'm going to try and move through these few slides fast. Because there's I think a couple of people asked me to have a look at a couple of slides that we're going to be pitching at on Friday at the National Analytics Awards, so I might hopefully get to them a little later. But I suppose we prioritize our work by value, and the way we see it, nothing is really worth doing unless there's some kind of a value. Obviously, we're a bank, 238 years old, I think, just gone 238 in April. I'd like to say 238 years young, but that is not the case. A lot of value in our bank is essentially monetary, and we have to kind of prove what's the value or the revenue gleaned of doing any of the work that we do. Obviously, the higher the value, the more likelihood we are going to get this work done. We work in an agile way, and we'll touch a little bit on that a little later. And we have agile methodologies, sprints, stand-ups. Our sprints are 3 weeks in length. So essentially, when we say we're going to do a piece of work, the likelihood is we'll have it turned around pretty quickly. A lot of that transaction categorization work is done in a matter of hours and days, which is relative to, I suppose, the media industry at the moment. So what is value? Value can be anything. In the bank or any corporate, it could be automation, cost reduction, cost avoidance, new income generation, pricing optimization, regulatory risk, and reach and brand. I suppose what we generally do to prioritize is we essentially look at if something's high value and low effort, then it's a no-brainer. We'll get it done fast. If it's high value, but it might be a 3-month, 4-month, 1-year slog, then we might think twice about throwing all our eggs in one basket there. So just moving on to the next slide, we like to kind of stay up to date in terms of what value actually is, because value to Bank of Ireland might be completely different to the type of value somewhere else, say your Googles or Facebooks. The more modern ways of looking at value is that we've come across very recently. In fact, Connor Sales, our advanced analytics lead, who's probably on the call, shared this with the team a few days ago, which I love. It's essentially the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And when customers evaluate a product or service, they perceive value against the asking price. This is something that marketeers have generally focused on and put a lot of energy into to manage prices and equations and stuff like that. So I just love the way we could potentially use this model to understand what true value is, because it's not always going to be monetary. Now, I suppose, and kind of what I do want to get at now is, I mean, in Bank of Ireland, we have a scope. Everything we do needs to kind of needs to affect the customer, drive revenue. It needs to do all these different things for our people and our customers. And if you want to just move on to the next slide there, George, for me. We mentioned earlier, I suppose, that data value realization at the bank has supported the business through using data to meet the needs of our customers and enabling efficiencies and stuff like that. This inevitably means that there's a lot of other things that we would love to do and that we have the people to do it, but we can't because it might be out of scope, or it might take too long, and it might impact on other priorities. So what myself and George wanted to do, we wanted to explore other things that may not directly involve that scope. So this is why we set up EngineB. When we knew we had pockets of amazing people and talent in our Bank of Ireland data community. We knew we wanted to do these other cool things that we see people doing on the Tableau user groups, on different meetups around town. And we thought that we could actually crowdfund innovation organization, because data people in big corporates like Bank of Ireland, they always find each other. You know, they always use each other, no matter where they are, siloed or pocketed around the organization, they will find each other. And we do generally come together to get stuff done. So, I mean, data people in big corporates have been working agile and off-site and in their own kind of silos for years. And what we wanted to do was try and bring us all together a little bit more regularly, share our ideas, share the work, and see the types of amazing things we can do. So I suppose we wanted to effectively kind of push the boundaries of our data capabilities in the bank today. So why EngineB? Why the name? People ask us about the name. I don't want to just say that me and George thought it was really cool, but we did. I suppose if you go theoretically in rocket terms, a B engine has twice the power of the engine. People might be familiar with this with all the Elon Musk stuff happening in recent times. The B engine basically does the same thing, but might use different materials, components, or fuels to increase thrust and add more power and speed. The first number in the code refers to the average thrust of the engine. Average thrust is the engine's average push, or how fast it powers the rocket to go. And the higher the number, the faster the speed. So, I mean, as we are using our internal, I suppose, data network in the bank, and I mentioned that we're bringing pockets of these amazing data people together from all walks of life with all different skills. Crowdfunding this talent, I think, basically brings us to an Avengers level of collaboration in looking to the future of data in our bank. So that's kind of why we picked EngineB. And yes, before the questions start flooding in, yes, we are absolute super geeks. Although I'm the only non-sciencey one, I think. The rest of them are, they're on the rocket. EngineB, just reading it out, the EngineB workstream was established to accelerate our pursuit of innovation using advanced analytics through education, collaboration, and exploration of initiatives that may not fit into our normal priorities, that may not fit into our normal priorities. EngineB will enable us to build a body of options or learnings for Bank of Ireland and performance analytics maturity through various use cases. And that's things touching on Cloudera use cases. We want to do stuff like machine learning, AI, We want to look at climate change, carbon, all that stuff. We want to do it, and we're going to do it in our bank. So I suppose it's basically our innovation vehicle to also showcase our people and our wider angle kind of spokes. We have a hub and spoke model in the bank, and obviously maximizing the value from our enterprise grade analytics architecture, which George is going to bring us through a little later on. So what do we do in EngineB? It's not, what could it be? People are probably familiar with startup weekend and incubators and all that kind of thing. It's a very similar idea, obviously, except the people that we're using are existing people in the bank from all different walks of life and different capabilities, different technical backgrounds. We essentially, we run weekly sprint meetings on Tuesday. We have a Scrum Master, Amanda Lynch, who's probably on the call. We have an agile approach, Scrum boards, product backlog to manage and track progress. We have experimental cross-functional collaboration where we leverage existing skills and hopefully develop new skills. We use our internal social media and like we have our WhatsApp groups, and we're always in touch and sharing ideas on new potential data sets or things that we could potentially bring into EngineB and work on. And essentially we're looking to identify, blue sky innovation projects for learning opportunities and to develop new applications, skills for as part of our BAU kind of projects. So we do all of this kind of thing. We provide training. We already had kind of modern ways of working. We work with the team on value proposition to understand values and use design thinking. So we kind of do all of that and bring people on a journey, and hopefully by the end, they're at a point where they can leverage whatever it is we've built together. They've increased their brand, increased their knowledge, and have some new toys to kind of play with. So at this point, I'm going to hand over now to George, who's going to take you through the technical side, and he's going to hand back then to me at the end, and maybe we might have a very quick run through of that pitch. So George, I'm going to hand over to you, and if you want to claim to be my Dr. Mallory or not, I won't be insulted.
Thanks a million, Carol. I wish you'd told me about that analogy before we set up the call. Hi everyone, thanks a million. It's Tableau, very close to my heart. I've been using it for like 12 years now, on and off, and it's a key component of our analytical stack in Ireland. So I'm just briefly going to take you through the and then just a couple of use cases that the guys are working on currently in EngineB. So just if you look at the slide, we have our data lake set up the last 2 years, and we have this, an enterprise data warehouse, Teradata, Cloudera on the data lake side. So we're mixing, quite a few open source technologies as well as Tableau, just to complement them there as well. So you can see Apache Hive, Cloudera, Hadoop, PySpark, Spark, and then in the center, which we do, it's like our Swiss Army knife, I think, of applications, typically for data discovery and also for customer insights and actually distribution. And, it's just so easy to use, the interactivity of it for the end user as well. So Tableau kind of, it bookends typically our analytical deliveries. So here is something that changed in Bank of Ireland in the last kind of 2 years. As I said, we have an enterprise data warehouse, predominantly Teradata, that's been running for the last 4 years, and typically we've been leveraging value from that through Tableau, our Tableau server. So we got the two together in 2016. Then last 2 years, and just really in the last year and a half, we've set up an enterprise data lake with Cloudera. So now we're able to leverage also the power of Apache Spark and the storage capability of HDFS, and as well now connect that also Tableau through the likes of Impala and Hive, our distributed SQL engines, to really take our analytics at scale. So now we can bring in massive data sets and actually just preventative before bottlenecks, but, you know, limitations in memory and stuff like that, or performance. Now we can actually bring it to the end user very easily. So you can see the sort of layout there, with Tableau kind of heavily involved, as well as Cloud Data Science Workbench for more of the machine learning deliveries, and PySpark and Sparklier as well. So how do we work with EngineB? As Carl was calling out, part of the reason I got involved is because I'm kind of working internally with our training programs as well. So in the last 2 years, we have up and running an internal peer-led data analyst training program, which has, you know, 50 participants, and the guys have been making great strides there. It combines, you know, internal peer-led classes and equally a lot of e-learning from Tableau and from Coursera. But potentially one of the gaps, and a lot of people might, you know, resonate with this, you kind of struggle sometimes to put some structure on your learning. I find there's so many wonderful tools out there in the industry, and a lot of them are free now as well. Where do you begin, and you know, how do you, I suppose, benchmark yourself against your peers as well? So we want to, EngineB is really focused on that applied data analytics. So, you know, whether you have an interest in machine learning or data viz, or just, you know, it's about growing that curiosity. I think everyone on the call has a genuine passion for data. And this was about bringing people together to, you know, equally reinforce that theoretical learning, and also to give the guys a defined path so that they could showcase their ability to a wider group, to senior management, and also to retain talent. So a lot of people might be thinking, well, actually, financial analytics is quite boring. So this allows us to kind of mix and match external data sets and internal data sets. And basically, if you have a hypothesis and you want to test it out, this is the place to bring it. As you can see here, how we've set it up is there'll be a mix of pods where you would have senior data scientists and senior data analysts working with a business partner, and equally with a data analyst or just data enthusiasts. So we have a very strong analytics community practice that has been running for the past 2 years with about 120 active members. And the idea of this is, once we, I suppose, bed in the pilot, we will look to roll it out there. So it should give everyone an opportunity to showcase their skills, everyone an opportunity to grow their data visualization through Tableau, their communication, their storytelling, and, you know, get into more of those advanced concepts as well in machine learning and AI, now that we have the technology stack there. So that's pretty much the approach. Just to call out, we focused on, so some of these ideas here are POCs that the guys are currently working on. As I said, it's about a team of 30 right now. These just came from ideas that the guys pitched. So it's a very democratic process. You know, when people want to work on something, we let them to start with. If more people want to join those subgroups, they can. And then myself and Carl would link in with Amanda, our Scrum Master, on weekly clinics and see how they're getting on, and also see if they need support. And again, it's about this applied data analytics. So it's about teaching them, you know, how to frame a problem, how to set the objective, you know, how to create a performance metric, thinking about loss functions, you know, running data discovery through Tableau on a large data set to start with, to just get those nuggets to see what might bring value down the road. And then equally about, you know, getting them to work on their pitch for their inevitable showcase to the COP, and equally to senior membership. So it gives everyone an opportunity to grow their brand and hopefully to work on some exciting things, as I'll just call out briefly below. So to date, yeah, Carl's going to talk about it shortly, but we have worked on a suspicious transactions reporting upgrade for the branch network, which you might be familiar in Bank of Ireland. There's about 280 branches, physical branches in our community. This is a combination of the data lake and Tableau and some machine learning as well through anomaly detection. We have a great training data set. I think one of the things you'll find working in Kaggle and stuff like that, it's almost too sanitary. The data, you want that messy, dirty, real data that you know, allows you to overcome the problems, allows you to see what works in certain situations. So one of those is Sentinel-B, we call it, and that's taking the Copernicus program from the European Space Agency. They've this amazing massive data set for each satellite that, you know, focus on a different element of either agriculture, the seas, or the atmosphere. And I think you might have seen some really good visualizations on COVID actually earlier on in the year, where, you know, air pollution dramatically reduced over China and countries like that. And we hope to leverage this as a training tool for the guys. And equally then to see if there's any products potentially we could, you know, develop and help assist our communities, or even just monitor air pollution and environmental impact as we go forward. Equally, we're working on a climate change initiative with our partners in Group Risk Innovation. So this is one that we will be looking to overlay basically a lot of the bank's existing portfolio with some predicted climate risks and floodplain analysis, just to inform the business, as well as kind of, I suppose, machine learning and data visualizations. We're also looking at research papers, so, you know, into the current housing density landscape in Ireland, and, you know, should you build up or should you build out? Our carbon footprint across the bank, and you know, the bank has signed up to a low carbon pledge, so it's about assessing our current building infrastructure, and also, you know, the properties we support for our customers, and seeing how we can improve that, certainly in the current climate and from a sustainability perspective. And then, yeah, deposit behavior, we're just looking at a deep learning alternative to some of the existing models that are in deposits and treasury. So it's just about, you know, giving the guys an opportunity to work on something different, come at it from a different angle. At the moment, we've got commitment from our senior leaders to work on this a couple of hours a week on the bank time, and equally then in our own spare time. If we flesh an idea out enough and there's merits there, then we bring it directly into a sprint so we can fully put the resources behind it. And take it from end to end in production, and ultimately, you know, play back in Tableau or to, you know, embed it in a production setting. So that's pretty much the kind of some of the a quick, you know, whistle stop on the existing POCs. Just these, I suppose, icons bear no resemblance now during COVID and haircuts and everything like that to myself and Carol, but that's me and Carol. And then we have a mix of everybody. So currently we've 30 people. It's a mixture of graduates, data analysts, data scientists, some business partners, and some data enthusiasts. What we hope to do, learning from this first iteration, is actually to roll it out to that community practice to really get that diverse opinion set, and just people that are enthusiastic about working with data and seeing where it can take them. So with that, thanks a million, and I'll probably just hand you back to Carol just to take you through one of those examples called branch.
Yeah, Johnny, I don't know if you want to go through this. I know we're 10 minutes over. I'll let you kind of call on it.
No, we're 1:15 is the cutoff time, so you've still got a couple of minutes, and
sure,
it should be fine. Yeah, I mean, if it's a couple of minutes, that's no problem. 1:15 is the cutoff time, so don't be worried.
Okay, well, I'll give you a very quick A to Z. Branch Shield.
That's a very long alphabet now. Go ahead.
So Branch Shield is something that myself and George originally concocted probably about a year ago. But before we get into what it is, I'm just going to try and paint a bit of a picture. I'm sure everyone on line has been in a branch at some point, and probably walked into that branch and there's a queue sitting in front of you. So, you know, the gas thing is you probably only use the branch once in a while, but for whatever reason, there always seems to be a queue, either for the machines or for the cashiers or whatever. And you probably have about 15 minutes before you have to get back from lunch. This queue is moving very slowly. You look around the branch and you see staff behind the screens or around the place doing stuff, you know, going through cabinets, doing a lot of paperwork with, you know, pens and paper, and doing various things. And the first thing that comes to your head is, you know, why can't they just get in the front of this queue and just get rid of the queue and let us all get back to work or back home or whatever? So kind of my point is, sometimes you see the front line doing lots of other things rather than taking care of the people on the queues. And that's because to maintain the day-to-day running of our branches, there's unfortunately lots of other stuff that needs to be done. And a lot of time it's actually priority, and it's part of our obligations. And it's all these things that enables us to be, I suppose, the best bank we can be for our customers. Now, I was Robert Downey Jr. there, throwing my eyes to heaven going, what in the name of God is going on? Why there's someone behind the screen there. They should be able to just jump on the next cashier. What's going on? And then I actually worked in a branch, and I got to do some of the stuff that the guys do in branches. And a lot of it is very, very important, and it has to be done. One of those things is essentially suspicious transaction reporting and identification. So it can take like one person from 1.5 to 2 hours or even more every day to basically adequately research transactions in the hope of finding out, of course, activity, which is then reported to our central anti-money laundering team. What we are trying to do, or what we've done, is to enable our people to better serve customers brilliantly by reducing this manual activity every day in our branches. So there's 280 branches. You're looking at an hour, 2 hours for one person every day doing this. That's a lot of time. So I suppose we want to get to a place where we can use this criteria for them for good. So Branch Shield is an advanced analytics solution which negates all of the manual work involved in manually researching activity by identifying behaviors and patterns in transactional data and overlaying this with our other group data sources that George would have talked about a little earlier. Branch Shield reduces the time and dependency on our frontline people to identify suspicious transactions. How is it done? Basically, we use our enterprise data warehouse. We analyze all transactional data and overlay this with agreed logic to bring back out of course activity. So, I mean, we actually worked with the people on the ground to find what are you guys looking for in all these pages and pages of transactions? And we took that and we built a code, we just built logic, overlaid that on the transaction, on our data sources, to essentially bring back the actual patterns or behaviors that they're looking for. So we're weeding away everything else. So over time, what we would like to do is use that logic and continue collaboration to identify all suspicious activity with a kind of a machine learning approach. But for the purpose of this was all manual activity done on the front line anyway. The user then forwards whatever they find to our AML team. The pilot, which happened last year, was 6 branches. Obviously, there's only certain things we can share with everyone because it's we're a regulated entity, and data privacy is something that we are obligated by. We had 6 branches. We gave all the branches access to Tableau because that's what we were sitting the dashboard on for them. We did a process redesign, weekly and daily comms. So we were very, very close to these branches, because we had an open innovation approach here, where on a daily basis we were finding out new things, and the branches themselves are actually understanding how we were actually able to finite things using data. So it was a two-way kind of innovation process here. As we learned more about the branch, we could actually incorporate more stuff onto logic. As the branch learned more about how easy we can make things for them using data, they were feeding more stuff back. So it was perfect chemistry. We did A/B testing. So for each of the branches, we ran the old process and we ran the new process with 2 different people, to basically give us an idea of our new approach working or not. One interesting discovery we made was, as part of that organic kind of innovation process, was we were able to identify multiple transactions per day, which branches aren't able to see. So if you're in O'Connell Street branch and someone comes in and lodges a whole load of checks or cash or whatever, you can obviously see what the customer did in your branch, but you can't see that they were in College Green a half hour earlier, lodging similar amounts or even more. And we were actually able to pinpoint customers that were doing this, which did signify unusual activity. So the benefits, I suppose we saw, the benefits and features of Branch Shield, they're all there. People can whiz through them on screen. We saved a hell of a lot of time, and we essentially mitigated almost all of the time that people were spending in the branches doing this every day. So those people behind the counter ruffling through paper and not tending to queues can now, they don't have that much paper to ruffle through anymore. They're logging into Tableau. We're telling them what accounts to check, and they're back in front of the cashier serving our customers. We are also using big data, I suppose, to educate our workforce, because a lot of the time people, they're looking for certain things and other stuff isn't jumping out. So that's how we came across the transaction tracking, where someone might be doing something in several branches in the same day within a certain amount of time. So all of these things are educating our workforce to get them to look for different things, different trends that may not be very obvious or haven't been obvious in previous months or years. Risk mitigation, we're mitigating all risk, and we're improving data quality. So just to give you a quick visual, this is a heavily doctored kind of screen grab of Branch Shield, and I know it looks pretty bad on screen, but it is amazing in reality. This essentially gives you an idea of the types of things that our guys on the front line need to look out for. This is given to them in Tableau. They can very quickly see how many lodgements are being made last week, last month, last quarter. Of those transactions, how many we deem suspicious based on the activity and the logic. They can segment by business or personal customers. They can set thresholds, age groups. Obviously, if you're 16 years of age and you're lodging 20 grand, that's a little bit suspicious. The interesting piece here is you'll see some spikes in activity where more lodgements happen after weekend and stuff like that. So we're actually using visualization for good here. And this is a big deal because a lot of people in our front line, they're more used to seeing reports, Excel style, dot matrix. They don't get to see the cool trends that we see in TUG every few weeks and stuff like that. They're really just looking at the hard data. So it's up to people like myself and George to visualize and try and make sense of that for them. So with this dashboard provides that holistic view to give an overall look at transactions and stuff like that. Now, as you can see from the slide that George has on screen now, there's multiple transactions happening there, all in different branches, which might be fine. But all we're doing here is we're playing back the same information to the guys on the front line that they look at already, except they do it in a highly manual way. We've removed a lot of the detail on screen, obviously for data privacy reasons. Also, this is test data only, but we're being very, very risk averse here. So we just removed it just to be sure. So customer name, birth date, all of this information is used to as part of our legal obligations under a regulated entity to inform AML of any suspicious happenings. So that's basically where we're leaving it. To say transformational in our branch network is, I think, an understatement. We've successfully brought Tableau to our branches, which was kind of one of myself and George's aims. We wanted to basically give the data back to them, in a way that is understandable, So this is how we're visualizing that. And I think that brings us to the very end. And sorry, I went a little bit over. So is there any questions? Johnny, are you happy enough with that?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's great. And it's great to see you bringing it down to the branch level, to be honest, and getting as many people used to it as possible. I don't see any questions there in terms in the Q&A section. I'll just, if anybody has any, they might come to me about it. If Avinash is actually still there, which I see he is, there was a question earlier on from him. If you can answer, if you want to jump in here on this one, Avinash, just for a sec. So it says here, obviously a lot of people saying thank you very much for your presentation. And they also said, how did you do the calculation? Did you apply the calculation to all the dashboards? Did you do a calculation?
Yeah, well, I created more than 10 calculations inside the Tableau,
Okay. So not
which
just
need
one.
to identify. Yeah.
Okay, and what was the methodology, or was there a methodology?
Actually, there is no specific methodology. So I just created calculations as per the story that I built in my mind. So by default, I can just see the number of cases, but I can't really get the percentage out of it. Let's say if I tell about the recovery percentage of COVID-19 cases, so obviously I need to do some kind of a division with the total confirmed number. So I just created a lot of formulas or calculations associated with that.
Thanks for that, Avinash. Guys, Carl, George, I don't see any other questions coming through there. Oh, there's one coming through now. I'll get to that in just one second. Just for those people, it's another plug for me, but it is a user group that I want to highlight. This time around, it's next Thursday. So what's that, the 25th? The Alteryx user group is happening at 12 o'clock. Again, I have put a link in the chat there if you want to register, because there's a few people there. I see Mark Curry is there today, and he spoke before at one of our Alteryx user groups. So if he's interested in that, yeah, there you are, Mark. If you're interested in that, please do sign up. And Dara, if you're interested in that, please do sign up. We're going to be looking at new features in Alteryx 2020.1 and Alteryx 2020.2, and also be talking about their new analytics hub and all sorts of different things. So it should be quite informative. So we look forward to seeing you on that. Let's have a look at this question just here, if I can. This is great, seeing is saying, but he's asking Carl and George, how do you segment the fraud? So in other words, fraud from card, debit card, credit card, how do you pinpoint the detection rate from the online transaction? George or Carl, if you want to jump in on that.
Thanks, Johnny.
Sorry, George, you go ahead.
So just to call it, so it's a great question. It's slightly different. So this is predominantly based on cash transaction now. So there's another area in the bank that we work with that would actually be looking at the Visa and debit segmentation as well. And then there's a holistic approach to all the customer transactions in total. You have to be very careful what you say here as well, because obviously, the more you divulge on a particular technique, the more, people can counter that. So just happy to take that question offline if Singh wants, but this particular example was about cash transactions only, just call it.
Okay, well answered, George. Brilliant. Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. And he's got back to say, okay, perfect. We're getting a lot of people. Kira Conlon said, enjoyed the session, very informative. Mark Curry has said, thank you very much. Deirdre Hayes has said, thank you very much. And I think, guys, without further ado, if it's okay with everybody, we will end the session there. And I'm going to say thank you very much to everyone who came along, and thank you very much to Avinash, Carl and George for their presentations. It was absolutely fantastic, and we hope to see you all at the next Tableau user group, which we'll probably have in Ireland online. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.